Although innocent looking, the zebra long-winged butterfly is one of the most barbaric butterfly species in Central America. Picture this. We're out in the wild, watching a patch of passionflower vines where zebra long-winged caterpillars hang out. These little guys are black and white striped munching machines, and all they really do is just, well, munch on leaves. But what most people don't know is that 1 second, these caterpillars can go from munching on leaves to munching on each other. It sounds strange, but there's sort of a reason as to why they do it. The caterpillar's mom has a pretty clever survival strategy. Their favorite food is the passionflower plant, and their moms are super picky about them. The butterflies will lay their eggs on these leaves because they contain toxins that make the caterpillars, and later, the adult butterflies, taste awful to predators. It's pretty much the ultimate troll that these butterflies do to their enemies. If anybody comes to eat them, they taste like crap. And nobody likes to eat things that taste like crap. So, as a result, predators become less likely to eat this species. But, unfortunately, there's a catch. Passionflower leaves are a limited resource, so when a female butterfly lays a bunch of eggs on the same leaf, and they all hatch around the same time, you suddenly have a crowd of hungry caterpillars. And if you're a big back like these caterpillars, then you'll know hunger can bring out some desperate behaviors. The caterpillars will be munching away, but the leaves are running out faster than expected. And in search of leaves to munch on, they start bumping into each other. Now, one caterpillar a bit bigger, hungrier, and more ruthless than the rest, decides to go full-on crash-out mode. And it's not random. His little primate caterpillar brain is making a strategic move. The crash-out caterpillar thinks to himself, I'm hungry, and these leaves sure are running out fast. But low-key, I'm kind of bigger than my brothers and sisters. I'd win. And then he puts on his black Air Forces, turns to one of his family members, and starts munching on them. Eggs? He'll munch on them. Younger siblings? He'll munch on them. Older siblings that are trying to munch on him? He'll munch on them. It helps satiate his hunger and reduce competition for the passionflower leaves. By reducing competition, the surviving crashouts will have a better chance of making it to the next stage of their life cycle, eventually becoming butterflies. And also, interestingly enough, cannibalism amongst caterpillars and larvae isn't uncommon in the insect world. But that's for another video. The zebra longwings might be pretty and innocent looking, but underneath, they've got a cutthroat and cannibalistic culture. Even though it's for survival, because of this, I'll still have to charge them for 1 count of cannibalism. Huh? Well, it turns out that cannibalism is actually legal in 49 states in the US. Well, I suppose that clears them from their charge of cannibalism, but I'm still charging them with 1 count of murder and 1 count of desecration of a corpse. Alright, the next charge butterflies are facing on this list is grapes. Honestly, these are butterflies we're talking about. I don't really think they're capable of this, but I've got to put this in for the video anyway. The Heliconius genus has a questionable eyebrow-raising habit that scientists call pupil mating. The scene is set. A young female Heliconius caterpillar has finally eaten enough. She crawls up a branch and starts to crystallize into her cocoon, officially entering her pupa stage. Now, according to scientists and entomologists, as the female Heliconius transforms from a caterpillar to a butterfly in her cocoon, she prepares to sprout and evolve. But as she tries to come out of her cocoon, a gang of male butterflies eager to mate will swarm the female butterfly. However, since she's still trapped in her cocoon, the gang of male butterflies will... Yeah. So they're definitely getting charged with 1 count of sexual assault and 1 count of grape. Let's move on to the next topic. The next big charge butterflies are facing is public intoxication. It turns out that butterflies like to get drunk in a lot of public areas. They generally like to get this feeling from fermenting sap and rotting fruits. Then their drunken frenzy begins. Butterflies will be observed acting more clumsy, sluggish, and unfocused after ingesting fluids from rotten fruits. But there's a little more to it. You see, butterflies' primary diet is nectar, aka sugar water. And this can be problematic for butterflies because if sugar water was all they ever drank, they would miss out on a lot of vital nutrients. So this is why you might see a butterfly consuming something that you feel they don't typically eat. It's simply to solve their nutrient deficit. And they do this by feeding on rotten fruits, blood, tears, rotting animals, and also, poop. Yes, you heard it right. Butterflies love to feed off poop. The behavior is called mud puddling. And surprisingly, the process helps them a lot by providing the butterflies with a good amount of sodium and amino acids. Nonetheless, it's still gross, so let's get to their charges. Butterflies will receive a charge for 1 count of public intoxication and 1 count of public indecency. Fraud and child abandonment. Although most insects aren't necessarily the best parents, butterflies have definitely earned themselves a good spot as one of the worst insect parents to have. The zebra longwings we were talking about earlier are actually decent parents in comparison to most insects, since it purposefully goes out of its way to feed its offspring food that'll make them taste gross to predators. But large blue butterflies, on the other hand, are questionable parents at best. Not only will these butterflies not be in their child's lives after they birth them, but also they'll intentionally lay their eggs by literal ant colonies, and then they'll fly away never to be seen again. Now, although this is entirely negligent and dangerous, it's actually a strategic tactic for their species. The mother births her babies beside ant colonies, and then when the caterpillars hatch out of their eggs, they'll deceptively produce chemicals and mimic sounds that ant larvae make. This makes the ants pick up the caterpillars and treat them as their own larvae. They'll be placed deep inside the nest with other ant larvae, then they'll be fed by the ants. Sometimes, when no ants are looking, the caterpillars will quickly eat the other ant larvae, so basically, they commit fraud and play among us for the beginning half of their life. After the caterpillars have eaten enough, they'll enter the pupae stage and crystallize into a cocoon. At this point, the ants might start growing suspicious of the caterpillar, but even if the ants grow extremely suspicious and try to attack the cocoon, its shell is tough enough to protect the caterpillar. But for the most part, they're fine, until it's time for the butterfly to emerge from their cocoon. At that point, the ants definitely know the butterfly isn't their larvae, and the butterfly is royally screwed unless it gets out of there as soon as possible. I'll have to charge the ants with 1 count of fraud and 1 count of child negligence because placing your children right beside a barbaric, highly defensive ant colony is super dangerous, and we've already seen how terrible ants are. However, I won't charge the butterflies with child abandonment since most insects generally have a hands-off approach to raising their kids. Order in the court. I said order. I understand you love butterflies and that these crimes have you outraged, but based on the verdict, as a species, butterflies will be charged guilty of 1 count of desecrating a corpse, 1 count of grape, 1 count of sexual assault, 1 count of public indecency, 1 count of public intoxication, 1 count of child negligence, and lastly, 1 count of fraud. This is once again a total of 7 charges, which means butterflies are ranked as evil on our species codex. May you never have the misfortune of stumbling across one of these dangerous perpetrators in your everyday life.